There is this theory in working out that the most amount of gains that you can make or health and fitness that you can earn is literally at 80%. Sleep is basically the top form of recovery that you can get.
You need to learn how to invest your money and then not touch it. You plant something and you keep picking it up to see has it grown yet, has it grown yet, has it grown yet, and every time you pick it up to see has it grown yet, you've retarded the process. You've taken away the life that it was supposed to bring in. Hello and welcome to the Compounding Mindset with me, Ashtin Doctor, and Paridhi Doshi. The Compounding Mindset is brought to you by Axis Mutual Fund. And today we have a very interesting conversation that's going to happen. And it's actually going to start with me asking about Paridhi and where has she been these last couple of weeks? Paridhi, where have you been these last couple of weeks?
I have just gotten back from an amazing vacation and I wasn't in the country for it. And I must say, I really, really needed it. Most of it was basically because I was feeling this like entire burnt out mindset where everything was starting to feel like a task. And even leading up to the vacation, I was like, I really need a vacation. I really need a vacation. But yeah, I had like a very, very good downtime where I actually absolutely did nothing. So my itinerary was only booking my flight tickets and booking my stay. But in between all of it, it was free flow. It was absolutely nothing, no itinerary at all.
So you just come back from a break.
I have just come back from a break
When was the last break that you took?
a year ago.
Ah, so what is the importance of these breaks? Like, what did it do to you? Like, how have you come back feeling?
I've come back feeling so much better. And when I say better, it's not only just about, okay, my training regime is so segmented that I need to take breaks every now and then. But this was more like it was a complete reset for me because I feel we always get into the loop of working day in and day out, be it with your training, be it with your work, be it with your friends, your family. You always are going from one thing to the other. And especially so if you have 10 things in a day to do, right? So your mind is always occupied. But just having that space and that time to do absolutely nothing is just so important. And so is that reset. I'm sure you also take breaks. Are you going to be going on a vacation anytime soon?
I have no vacation planned anytime soon. But you know what, Paridhi, what you said was so critical because we see so many people burning out right now, right? People are hitting the maximum that they are going through. I think there's such a culture of this hustle, hustle, hustle. You have to push, you have to push. And you have to hustle at work and then you have to hustle for your health. I'm sure you're seeing this as well with your clients, like you being part of the whole fitness world. There are weekend warriors, right, who are going to push themselves on the weekend and then push themselves on the weekdays at work. How do you think they manage this? And do you think that's a healthy way of living?
It's definitely not healthy, right? Because as we always know, there comes a tipping point, be it health wise, be it work wise, where you would almost then break down and you would be forced to take that break.
Yes.
I feel, especially I see so when it comes to my clients, they are pumped up every single day when they hit the gym. They want to hit maximum loads. But there is this theory in working out that the most amount of gains that you can make or health and fitness that you can earn is literally at 80%. You do not go 100% every single day, and there's a reason for it. You have something in reserve, and that reserve is for you to recover and be able to go again. And for the ones who don't do that, who don't mandate breaks, be it in their training schedule or in their overall training cycles, right? They will 100% hit the wall. And that wall, more or less, either is in a mental fatigue because you're constantly chasing something and then you're frustrated, oh, there's no results, there's nothing at all. And then you're doubling down on your effort rather than having to actually take a step back, reevaluate as to what's going wrong. So it's always almost either you hit that fatigue or you get an injury.
Yes.
And that's your body's way of saying that, hey, boss, you really need to slow down and take a break.
So it's better that you decide and plan the break before your body does it for you, or your mind does it for you, or your job does it for you, or anything else.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, like, in terms of cultivating habits as well, as you must have seen with a lot of people, it comes a point where they're so trying hard to do it that they might be like, oh my God, I cannot do this. I'm sure you must have seen that a lot.
Yeah. It's so funny when people start working with a habit coach, right? They think that they need to get everything put in. So they come with a list of 20 different habits that they need to start. And if I tell them schedule your day, they pack everything to the brim. So it's so interesting. With some clients, I have to egg them on, right? I have to use the whip and say, come on, get it done, do this. And with others, I have to actually rein them back in because they have this mindset of go hard, go home, constantly on, constantly pushing. So it's very interesting the way that you have to realize which camp you fall into. Are you the kind that is constantly always pushing? Then you need to realize how to schedule your rest into it. Like you went on holiday. Now, that is like you did once in a year, maybe twice in a year. But how do you schedule rest through the day? One, how do you schedule rest through the week? So when it comes to habits, it's important for us to start scheduling this. And I think one of the big mistakes that we make is that when we're scheduling, we think that watching TV is resting time. But we all know this. I'm sure the audience listening in, if you listen to, for example, if you watch a show on TV and you binge watch it, what's going to happen? You're actually going to feel tired after it. You're not going to recover. So you have to realize what is actually leading to recovery and what is actually leading to tiredness. So that is the way that I see it as a habit.
I feel like a good way to also look at it is like, are you getting more stimulated with it? Because if you are, as you said, watching TV is another stimulation as well, right? That's not going to lead to recovery, as you correctly pointed out. It's about really easing it, letting your CNS, which is your central nervous system, just kick back into be like, hey, I'm not going to do anything. And that basically could look like going and grabbing dinner with your friends and your family.
Correct.
And this is something I also tell my clients who have like really long days with back to back meetings. And at the end of the day, like, I'm really tired. I don't think I can make it to my workout. So instead of having to take back to back meetings, why don't you take a 15-minute breather over there?
Yes.
Maybe get up, walk around, go to the water cooler, get some water, chit chat with your colleagues, come back, and then go for it again. That's them literally scheduling that break right in the middle. How do you schedule rest in your day to day life?
For me, it is using this one miraculous thing called your calendar, right? We use our calendar for our meetings and we only put in our meetings, but there are two other key things that we need to put in our calendar. The first is time with self, which is thinking time. So it is still work oriented, but it is thinking time for yourself where you plan the future, etc. And then there is something what I call do nothing time. Do nothing time is taking your coffee, looking out of the window, looking at some birds, looking up at the night sky. That do nothing time is critical. Now, the problem is we only think about do nothing time at in the evenings or when we come home in the night. You can schedule do nothing time during the day. And I keep telling my clients, when you go into a CEO's cabin or a business owner's cabin, you see a sofa there. That sofa is not to have private conversations where, there is a serious topic being discussed. That sofa is actually take a power nap. So a 20-minute power nap during the day is absolutely beautiful. And there are two habits that you can do for this. One is you can set a timer on your phone for 25 minutes and sleep for those 25 minutes. Now people say, Ashton, it takes me 25 minutes to go to sleep at night. How are you telling me to sleep for 25 minutes? But it's interesting that the nap comes on much faster than the night sleep because it's only 25 minutes. So you set an alarm for 25 minutes, 5 minutes to go to bed or fall asleep, 20 minutes of nap time. The other one, which is my favorite, is called a caffeine nap. Okay. So what I do is I take some coffee, I drink it, and then I go to sleep for 20 minutes immediately afterwards. The reason I do this is because the caffeine takes 20 minutes to enter your bloodstream and remove the adenosine, which is your the tiredness neurotransmitter. So as a result, when you wake up, you are fresh from the nap and geared to go for the rest of the day. So this is the way in which I use nap as a way of scheduling it. But it reminded me of a time during the lockdown when we all moved towards the online way of working. And people started scheduling their Zoom calls one after another immediately. There was no time to go to the washroom, there was no time to get water, play with your child, nothing. And I realized and I recognized the amount of burnouts that were taking place at that time. In fact, so many companies came to me to conduct classes on how do you actually operate in this remote working space so you don't burn out. So it's one of the key things, taking that break. So, Paridhi, even in the fitness world, I've seen so many. In fact, I'd written it in one of an article of mine about how the top sports athletes, even bodybuilders, sleep for 11 hours, right? They sleep for 12 hours in a day. And they all talk about how muscles are built in your sleep. Can you discuss a little bit about that?
Sleep is basically the top form of recovery that you can get. And when you are at that level of competing, where literally being a sports person is your life, the extra advantage is barely ever there from training. Because everything you know about training is more or less out there. Everybody's doing it. Because as we discussed, hustling is not the problem at all.
It's
It,
not work the other person out,
yeah,
it's rest the other person out.
it's rest the other person out because everybody can out train someone. So, right now, I think the entire fitness community is paying so much more attention to can I out recover somebody else? Which is why things like ice baths, sleep schedules, making sure that you take certain supplements right before you sleep so that your sleep quality can become better, not just the quantity of sleep. So there's so many things that are going out in the fitness world that are so targeted towards just recovering better. Because when you recover better, it's really simple. Of course, there is a lot of complicated scientific math behind it, but the simplest thing is if you recover better, if you're waking up feeling like, hey, I got this, you literally have got this.
Yes.
In fact, a couple of decades ago, there was this doctrine that had come out in the ultra marathon world, because in the running world volume is pretty much everything.
Yes.
Everybody's trying to, especially in that ultra marathon world, hit 100 kilometers a week. How can I get more time in my running? How can I get more intervals? That doctrine flipped it the other way around. At that point of time, the person who was dominating in the ultra marathon running world, all he did was take 2 full days off. And everybody was really, really sort of surprised that, hey, if I get another day of training, I'm going to train and I'm going to go hard. But he took 2 complete days off. And that really changed as how recovery was being perceived at that point of time, because everybody was like, hey, if this person is running and winning and taking 2 days off, there's something behind it.
Yes. It reminds me of how we talk about how muscles are built when you sleep. As a habit coach, I keep telling people that when you sleep, it's actually the busiest time in your body. All the hormones are getting regulated, your digestion is in full swing, your brain is being cleaned, all sorts of things are taking place when you sleep. So it's actually a very busy time. So you need to give your body that space in order for all the hard work that you've done to actually fructify.
100%.
Right? So this reminds me of one of the things that I think one of the big investors spoke about. I remember listening to him and he said that you need to learn how to invest your money and then not touch it. Right? You spend so much time fiddling around with it, trying to balance this, sell this, buy this. It never ends up working out. Do your research, put in the hard work in the beginning, invest it the right way, and then just wait. Let it sit. Just the same way that we're talking about resting it, let it rest. And I have seen some of the biggest gains coming, especially in our family, from that just sitting and taking it from there.
I think this is a conversation I have with my father all the time because, of course, there's this age gap between the both of us, and him coming from a point of time and age where I need to do more, I need to do more, I need to do more, where I go and tell him that, hey, you've invested this, let it sit, let it multiply, let it compound. You don't have to keep fiddling with it, moving it around, and see how beautiful that is going to look 10 years down the lane.
Correct.
Especially with me right now, I'm at that time in that space where I'll be like, this is that whole chunk that I have to invest. Let me invest it because I've done my research, as you said, and let me see what happens with it. Just letting it rest, letting it be, letting it compound can make so much of a difference.
It's like we have a farm in Karjat. And again, when I go and stay there, we're so excited to plant things. And when you plant a carrot, you see the little shoot coming up. Now you don't know what's happening underneath. And one of the Swamis said this very very profoundly. He said that you plant something and you keep picking it up to see, has it grown yet? Has it grown yet? Has it grown yet? And every time you pick it up to see, has it grown yet? You've retarded the process. You've taken away the life that it was supposed to bring in. So the idea of either investing and resting, or exercising and resting, or in my case, hard work and then resting, I think these are key things for us to figure out. Do you have habits for rest?
100% do. Big fan of naps. So, my nap might not actually be like a knocked out nap, but it's pretty much like just shutting my eyes and being. I feel just that disconnecting really brings me back to my energy levels and able to be do my workout better. And I also sort of do the caffeine thing. I make sure that I drink my coffee, sit, shut my eyes, and just sit. And it doesn't even have to be in a sleeping position. It could just be sitting. The place where I work has huge windows, so there's a lot of natural light coming in. So I'm just shut my eyes and just sitting there and letting my body recuperate so that I can go on and do other things. Other thing that I really enjoy is putting on my headphones and listening to music for a time period. Whatever makes me happy. I think that sort of simulation, that sort of hormone kick is so important because it's going to put you in the right mindset, in the right space. And even if the thing that's afterwards is really, really tough to do, it just becomes a lot more enjoyable for you to do it.
Correct. Especially music, right? We look at music as, oh, I'll just listen to my favorite tunes. Is your music actually helping you recover or not? And where I come from is we don't realize this, but the music that we listen to are also like affirmations. If you're listening to songs about breakup and about losing your money, like all Western songs are all about that, right? You realize that you need to almost use music in a way that is positive and uplifting, and then it becomes a break. So we have to realize this little tweak that we can make even to our music. And one of the things I keep telling people is look at your life and see each of the things that you're doing every day and figure out how you can optimize each of these. Where is the little 1% more, 2% more, 3% more, and each of these things that I can optimize on? So recovery becomes better and my output becomes better.
And that 1 or 2%, that marginal bit, pretty much comes from sitting and letting it work. And I've seen that 100% hands down work. In fact, I've started working out so much better since my vacation because my body's feeling a lot more recovered. I'm not tense, my shoulders are not tight, everything's feeling nice and easy. Because, of course, your body also stores stress in different parts, right? And that can only happen and only become better if you just let it be.
Yes.
9 out of 10 of my clients, when they come back, they have better squats, better range of motion, they're picking heavier. And then we always have a conversation where, like, how have you come back from this vacation doing things that we have been trying to do from 6 months? And my clients go, like, is that your cue to tell me to take more vacations? I'm like, maybe, but don't wait for a vacation. Take that break, let it sit, and make sure that it actually compounds to make you better on a day to day basis.
I remember I came back after a 10-day vacation and I suddenly unlocked my muscle up. And for people who are listening, a muscle up is basically when you move on top of the bar using your strength instead of just doing a pull up. So it's a pull up plus a dip. And I'd been working so hard on it for so many months, but it wasn't happening. Suddenly, I came, body felt fresh, everything felt fresh, and it was like makhan. So it's so interesting how that little break, or in this case, the 10-day break, is going to improve something down the line. I notice that breaks and scheduled maintenance are related. So when I was in my MBA class, we were taught scheduled maintenance breaks when we were talking about machinery. All machinery
It
needs a
needs
scheduled maintenance. Your trucks, your buses, everything, including us. So our mind is a machine, our body is a machine, and even our money is a machine. We need to realize how to use it and how to give it downtime. Okay, so now we'll do something fun. I'm going to ask you one habit for each of these three machines that you use for recovery. And then I'm going to answer with one habit as well.
the
Okay, so mind, how do you rest your mind?
music.
Okay, for me, it is journaling and reading.
Okay, how about physical?
For me, it is a sauna. I love saunas. It feels so restful in it. What about you?
Early sleep, get in those hours.
Oh, nice. And finance for you?
It would be to invest my money not think about it and let that happen over a timely period. In fact, if I also put like a fun thing to it and said, Papa said save money, and I let it be. So every month there's a new pop up on my phone that goes like money has been deducted because Papa said save money.
That's so cute. For me, it is invest and forget. Because if you don't forget about it, you constantly worry about what's happening. Is it growing, not growing, growing, not growing? So invest and forget. So that is the way that I would look at the habits. So Paridi, when you have clients who come, and all of us have clients who just don't want to rest. They feel that rest is a sign of weakness. How do you actually convince them that they need rest and they need that recovery period?
I think one part of it is definitely a leap of faith where I say that, hey, if this doesn't work, then we can go do your thing, but give it a try. So for them to just have that backup option where they be like, okay, I am trying this out. If this doesn't work, I always have my way to go about it. And I think more or less when clients walk in, they have seen the signs of burnout, which is why they've now decided to invest their time, their money, and their effort into working along with somebody who understands that you're going to need that break and then sort of prompts them to take that break.
Yes, I love it because it's so much easier to learn from somebody else's experience than make the same mistake yourself. And I wish people actually learn from this.
And I use my injuries as an example all the time because I've been there and I've done that. So having to literally give them an example that, hey, I was at your position and this is how I worked out of it. And when you have an example of somebody's already worked out of it, it becomes so much easier for them to also believe in it and give it a go. And sometimes, if nothing works, walking is the best option.
Walking, and I'm going to add one more habit on top of that: listening to podcasts, because you have been listening to the Compounding Mindset with Access Mutual Fund. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe. Remember to rest.
And remember to invest and let us know what your best way of recovery is. You know, as we were talking today about rest, recovery, and knowing when to take a break, it struck me how much this is exactly like compounding in the financial world. In investing, the magic doesn't happen when you're constantly tinkering with your portfolio or jumping from one fund to another. It happens when you've done your research, put your money in the right place, and then you give it time to grow. That time is your rest period. Just like muscles grow when you're not lifting the weights, wealth grows when you're not constantly touching it. The principle is the same: effort plus patience equals results. If you keep interrupting the process, whether it's by overtraining your body or over managing your investments, you rob yourself of the very gains you're working for. And here's the kicker: the most powerful returns, both in health and in investments, come from not doing more, but from letting the work you've already done compound. So, invest in yourself, invest in your goals, and then step back. Give them the space to breathe, to grow, to multiply. Because whether it's your money, muscles, or mindset, compounding works best when you do the work and then let time do its magic.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.